Hey guys, welcome out to the Action Army podcast again. We have a very, very special guest on with us today, Jacob. I won't ruin it at all and tell them anything that's not true about you. So kind of introduce yourself a little bit for who you are, what you do, how we're kind of connected. We're going to dive into all that, but I just want you to kind of tell us who you are because you are extremely special for our podcast here, so appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. It's great to be here with you. It's been awesome to see as a fly on the wall as you've grown your business from a one-truck shop to how many trucks do you have now?
106.
Over
currently.
100 truck operation. That's a big deal, especially here in Utah. It's great to get to know you along the process and how, the principles that you founded connections on, you've continued all the way through to today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jacob Reese with Standard Plumbing Supply. My grandfather started the company back in 1952. He slept in the store and he basically gave everything he had so that his family could earn a living. I've been in the business since, a very young boy. I'd go to work with my father. He'd throw me a broom and he'd leave for the whole day. He'd come back at 5:00 and he'd give me $20. When I was 8 years old, that was a lot of money back then. I bought, my own Xbox when they first came out, and I did a lot of things because I was able to work. And that's one thing that I've always been grateful for something to do, for something to have that keeps me busy, keeps my mind going and my mind sharp. So being at Standard, selling toilets, I always tell my friends, fine china and precious metals. Sounds a little bit cooler, when you're telling what you do.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, been in the business, probably now 20 years if you count the summers that I was working growing up. And yeah, just love everything about it.
So you grew up, so your dad kind of took over from your grandpa, right?
Yeah.
And back in those days when your dad took over, how many stores did you guys have?
It was in 1992, and we had 12 locations.
All here in Utah?
No, Utah and Idaho.
Utah and Idaho.
Yeah.
So your dad took over 12 locations in Utah and Idaho. That was 92. You were born in
93.
93. So you weren't even born yet.
That's correct. Yeah.
So your dad takes over and you're born. So from 92 to what year did you go on your mission?
2012.
2012. So 92 to 2012. Where's the business at from 92 to 2012?
Yeah. My father kind of went on a rampage of growing Standard Plumbing, and we'd been very blessed growing in that business, and he worked very hard. He always didn't take money out of the business where I think he could have. He left it all in. He still continues to keep, a lot of the money in the business for reinvestment. But he grew the company pretty significantly, probably to about 60 branches about that time.
Wow, 60 branches. So 12 to 60, and were you guys in California before you left?
Yeah, we just opened up into
California. So California, Nevada, Arizona, Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, Utah, right? Yeah. So you guys are in pretty much almost every state in the West, right? So 2012, you go on your mission. Where'd you go? New Zealand, right?
New Zealand, yeah.
So New Zealand, you get back 2014,
yeah.
And that's right around the time I'm freaking getting into plumbing.
Yeah.
So I remember vividly. I don't actually remember how we met. I just remember getting a phone call from you one time when I got pissed off.
Yeah.
Jacob's just, I for everybody out there who doesn't know, I love Standard Plumbing. I'm 100% bought in. You guys will see me wearing shirts around. I wear, the only other logos that I wear around that are not my own are Standard Plumbing. So if you guys ever see me and I'm in a Standards, because you guys are some of my best friends. Jacob's one of my best friends. Your family's always been very good to me. But 2014 is right when I started my plumbing experience, my plumbing journey, right? And I remember going to one of the locations, and I'm like, hey, I need a water heater, and I bought a water heater earlier that day, right? And this was the wild, wild west. I remember our account wasn't really set up. We were just buying stuff. It was just a cash account, and I bought a water heater that day. I went to buy another one. It was a different location, and I'm just man, did the prices go up for here? What the freak? Because the price was different. I'm what the hell's going on? So I said, hell no. I'm not buying this water heater for a different cost. And I remember you called me later, and you're actually, I'm going to take over the account, and I'm going to I'm going to make sure that you get all the stuff you needed. So what was your role when you get home from your mission, right? 2014, what's your role in the business? Like what are you supposed to be doing?
Well, I was still going to school at BYU, graduating in business management, and my father had me working as well in the business. And this is when I had just really started to work with customers on accounts. I woke up one day, I was actually going to go do summer sales. I was going to go sell solar or pest control. And right before I kind of signed to go off for the summer, my dad came downstairs and he goes, "Hey, you're the new commercial sales manager." I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yep, get ready, let's go to work." And so, came to work, and that's, you were one of the first accounts that I ever kind of took on. So it was a great learning experience, baptism by fire, as they say. Mm-hmm. And you're a perfect account to to teach me how to do the right things as a salesman.
So, the right things or teach you patience.
But a little bit of both, right?
So you became the commercial sales manager.
Yeah.
Just your dad's just like, "Hey, sorry, this is for you."
He's like,
I know.
You're not going to do
I know there's a business out there that is going to hate your guts. So I need you to take care of them, right? So you get into that position, and how long were you doing that for? I mean, I remember when like things started rapidly changing for us. I remember one time you took me out to lunch and we're just kind of talking, and I said, "Jacob," I know we don't buy much from you right now, but I promise you, if you just give me a chance, right? You give me a chance, you give me some good pricing, right? Give me some competitive pricing. I said, I don't want the best pricing, right? Obviously guys who buy a ton, you give way better pricing. I said, give me competitive pricing where I can grow my business. I promise I'll spend at least $250,000 this month or this year. Right, 250,000. I was spitballing. I was like, "Please, I promise you, I'll do that." And I remember that first year we bought $250,000 from you, and I said within 10 years I'll be buying over $250,000 a month from you. And Jacob, I remember back in the day, I was like, "Okay, this guy's kind of freaking crazy, but we'll take care of him, And so like when you became that commercial manager, right? The commercial sales manager. Like what did your job entail? Like what did you do with that department?
Yeah, my job was to grow the business. Commercial, Standard really has played in the single family new construction and service business for plumbing, heating, just getting into electrical now. But that focus of taking that more the commercial side to the larger projects, that was a good baptism by fire. I learned a lot in that role, and I was able to really kind of see where our weaknesses were as a company and where we can focus and change our go-to-market strategy with our customers and grow that dynamic. And you were key to teaching me how to deal with those customers. It was crazy to see how every time you told me something you were going to do, you do it. And your word has always been your bond. You've always followed through with what you're going to say, and I think that speaks volume about where you are today, and not just today, but where you're going to go into the future.
It's honestly, we've been extremely blessed. And I know you talk about being blessed, but where we came from to where we are right now, it's so crazy. I remember having ideas like when we were first getting in underground. I'm like, "Jacob, I'm tired of ordering this liner from California. I'm like, I need you to get it in your store." Right. And I said, better than that, I said, if you get it here, you remember you were like, "Oh, I don't know if people are going to buy it. I don't know if I can bring all the stuff in just for you guys." I said, "Dude, I promise you, if you bring it in, people will buy it." And then we start setting up all of the gasketed fittings that we needed, right? The underground stuff that we needed. Pretty much everything that we needed, for underground, you guys accommodated us, and you start stocking them in all the stores, and how did that whole thing like kind of shift your business? How did that idea, why did you guys kind of run with that idea a little bit?
You're my boss. I mean, you could fire me any day, anytime, just by spending your money somewhere else. I think there was a few times where you actually did fire me, and I thought we were done. One of them, hopefully I could share this story about the garbage disposal we were a few dollars high on, right? I think it was a Saturday afternoon at 2 or 3 o'clock, and I missed like 5. I put my phone down for a minute, came back, and I had 5 missed calls, and I was like, "What's up?" You're like, "You're high on this garbage disposal," and it was. I don't know if you said we'll never shop from you ever again. It was on Saturday, and I was like, "Dang it, my first account, not buying from me." And then Monday morning you strolled in, you walked in the store, and I was like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" And
I think the exact words were, "I will never buy from you
a
ever
few
again."
expletives missing from that.
Yeah. We won't say those on here, but I will never buy from you ever again because you were $4 high on this garden tools. No, like better than I do. If I'm catching it one time, it's happened 100 times. Okay.
Hey,
so 100 times 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was justified. And so about going back to the underground, that was when you really started just getting into it. And I say, how did it affect us? You were our boss. You told us what we were missing. You told me the things that we needed to bring in, and we brought them in, right? And during that time, I remember, this is 6 months, a year after we had that lunch where you told me you were going to really grow your business. And it was like 3 weeks later, you bought the first, was it the GLE 63 AMGS, the Mercedes?
Mm-hmm.
You're the first 2 in Utah. You and your brother Dan, and you pulled in, and I was like, what? And from that time, you've just exploded. And it's been awesome to see you as a fly on the wall as how Underground has really shaped and impacted your business as well as mine to help and support that for you guys.
Well, like the craziest thing about it, like, is it was never really a thing, It was like here in Utah when we start talking about Underground, and when we were really getting into plumbing, we thought, oh, we're going to be, doing remodels and we're going to be repiping houses, which we do a lot of that still. But like our niche was like, hey, we're going to figure out how to be the best we possibly can at Underground, And the craziest thing about what you guys did for us is you allowed us the opportunity to be able to scale extremely fast because we didn't have to wait for our product, right? Because before we were buying it, like we had to order it, right, from California. And the only time we would buy it is when we were absolutely out of it because it cost so much money to buy it, right? So it's like, gosh, dang. So we would order it and have to wait for it, had to put our customers on hold, just created a backlog of just garbage. When you guys brought it in, our fittings and everything, gave us our pricing on it, really took care of us. It allowed us to be able to scale rapidly. So it was like any store we wanted to go to, which if anybody's been to Utah, I mean, I won't even say Utah, but like anywhere, like Standard Plumbing owns the market right here, right? So it's like I can go anywhere in the entire state from the very tip of Utah to the very bottom of Utah, and I can find a Standard Plumbing. And every one of the stores is stocked with exactly what I need it to be stocked with, right? It's like if I need liner or if I need, gasketed fittings or if I need SDR, whatever I need to do that job, I can get it at that store. And that was so helpful for us in our growth. And a lot of companies don't understand, what a partnership with, a big time firm will do for them. And that's what, we really realized like early on. And I didn't even realize it when I was making you the promise that I was going to buy from you. I didn't understand the actual ramifications for me and my business, what that was going to do, but it accelerated my growth. We probably accelerated our growth by 10x because of having this stuff so readily available. So we get all the way up to the point where, we're absolutely crushing it in Underground, right? And then, I remember Jacob's always calling me like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like we'd always like bounce stuff back off. And then I remember I told him like, hey, we're really thinking about buying Action. And you were just like, what? I'm like, you've heard of Action Plumbing, right? And he's just like, everybody's heard of Action Plumbing, It's like, and he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm really serious. Like, and then when we bought it, I mean, things went crazy. Kind of give me from your perspective, like from your side of seeing things, like what was that like that whole time period?
I mean, Action Plumbing was one of the first accounts that I would help over the counter. A lot of the guys that were coming in at that time now all own their own companies, right? And they were the behemoth in Utah for a long time. And I couldn't believe that you had positioned yourself in the marketplace to not only be able to afford that opportunity, but to know and how to put all that together for an acquisition. It's amazing to see what you've been able to do. Most companies don't do acquisitions that big at your level, even at your age, right? I watch a lot of the acquisitions in our industry, and most of them are coming from giant private equity companies. And you were ahead of that curve. You bought them, you assumed them in your company, and you made it better. And I thought that was so cool. You put your touch of business on it, And it's been able to bless the lives of so many more people. Blessing my family with buying more parts from us, blessing, all of the coworkers and the individual that I'm able to hire and keep, simply because of what you were able to do with Action and your business as well.
Mm-hmm. So when we bought Action, I remember we were talking, like, I forgot, what was that company that did all the VMIs? That, like, here in Utah, they used to do
it was Barnett. And they were acquired by Home Depot.
And so I was like, man, like, I really want to do this. I really want to try a VMI. And you guys hadn't really been doing them very much. It was just like, oh, maybe we'll think about it. I'm like, dude, I really want to get a VMI in here. And so Jacob really got working with that. And like, so were you still the commercial sales manager when you started doing all the VMIs?
Yeah. Now, VMI, for those who don't know, it stands for Vendor Managed Inventory. It's basically where we consign inventory in a warehouse, give them full-time support inside their warehouse, and build systems and processes to make their company better. And I got to a point when I started doing more outside sales. I'd go call on customers, and they say, sorry, I can't do anything. I've got a VMI, and I'm under contract that I have to spend a certain amount of month with Home Depot, or I have to pay for their labor in the warehouse. And it was so frustrating as a salesman. There's nothing more deflating than not even having an opportunity to sell. Mm-hmm. And so looking at that, I said, we have to do this as a company. This is critical for our success moving forward. And one of my other customers said, hey, Jacob, if you don't do this, I'm going to go with Home Depot. And so I said, hold that note, give me 24 hours and I'll figure it out. So I pick up the phone, I call my dad, and I'm like, hey, we got to do this. He goes, figure it out, don't lose money. And then he hangs up on me. And, that's a great phone call to have, because you're like, hey, you gave me all the power to figure it out. But it was also a little bit daunting to go up against somebody like Home Depot, who's done just an incredible job over the years. Everybody knows who Home Depot is. Mm-hmm. But I also think that there's something important that people buy from people they like. And that's something that you and I have always had in common. I've always told you, hey, our relationship goes before Standard Plumbing Supply. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that, I can't help you or those things, but I want to always be your friend, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And I believe that very strongly. And so we were able to set up that VMI for the first customer, and we made it about 6 months before I got fired out of there. It was the best and worst 6 months. I remember the day that they told us we were getting fired, and I went on a Saturday and swept it all up, cleaned it up, tried to leave the warehouse better than when we found it. And those opportunities where you meet failure are so great. I could have easily closed it down, never done anything with VMIs ever again, but I decided to take a different route. And the next few months later, we set up another one and another one and another one. And, that was about 6 years ago. And today I've got a team that manages it. They're incredible. They have a little thing on my whiteboard in my office, and he came in yesterday and scribbled it out and wrote the next locations on there. And we'll be at 50 locations by the end of next month.
I just remember when you came to me and you're like, man, I can do this for you, right? In our little office right there on State Street, right?
Yeah.
We had the whole back end of it, and I mean, you're
Jose's
like, okay,
tires.
Yeah, we're literally like, okay, we can. It's funny. Jacob actually sold me that building, right? So not only is he one of my best friends, he's my plumbing supplier. He's my real estate agent. So there's like he plays a lot of hats, but like I remember when you guys went in there to set it up, and just like how much it changed my business, being able to have everything I needed, right? And not only was it like, just jamming a bunch of parts in there, but it was like, hey, you guys create the list. You guys get to choose what you want in your warehouse, right? And it's all going to be in there on consignment, and when you use it, you pay for it. Like, who has that opportunity? Who has an opportunity to be able to like, oh, I have a water heater in my warehouse, and when I go and take it out and go sell it to my customer, then I'll pay for it, right? Because we all like the idea of the going down to standard, right? Going down to standard on a Friday, but like when it's midnight, like we can't get into standard. We can't.
You used to call me late at night.
Yeah, I could still get in there, but normal people, they can't get in there, right? Yeah. It's like, oh gosh, we're gonna have to wait till tomorrow, and then you don't get to take care of your customer, right? And like I would always tell Jacob this. I was like, man, if you can't help me help my customer, like this isn't gonna work, right? And so that's why I've loved about how you guys have always been on the cutting edge of helping me help my customer, right? And which has in turn helped me to be able to make more money, to be able to spend more money, right? And so like when you guys first put that VMI in our warehouse, like it changed a lot of our business, right? I still think that we're one of the number one VMIs in terms of how much we purchase from the VMI. So I hopefully
you guys do well. I mean, I've got 3 full-time employees just working out of your warehouse.
Hopefully I'll get one of those golden stars, or something in the mail and be like, here,
It's
number
coming.
one customer,
It's coming in the mail. So.
But no, like, and then when we moved to our bigger office, you guys designed a completely different thing, and I've over the years I've loved working with a couple like the counter guys, and I'm like, Jacob, I like this guy, Jesse's always been my man, like always been my man, and I'm like, Jacob, I really need him in my VMI, and just having that, being able to have that kind of communication with somebody who really dictates how we can take care of our customers, and you actually listening to me was, it's just like when I hired my accountant, I didn't have to worry about accounting anymore. I was able to just focus on plumbing. Like I get so much better focusing on plumbing, right? I don't have to worry about my plumbing parts or my HVAC equipment or now my electrical. It's like I can be so much better at my job, right? So now that you guys are at 50 locations, so since you started in 2014 to right current day, how much have you grown Standard Plumbing?
Probably between 200 and 250 million.
Oh my goodness. So for a lot of people out there that don't understand numbers, to me, like some people won't even be able to in their lifetime say that they even, or have a business that is capable of doing those kind of numbers. But for you to be a 21-year-old freshly coming home from a mission in, your first couple years of college, to now, what are you, 31?
Yeah.
31, growing a business by 200 to 250 million. Like, what is that? Like, how does that change things? Like, how does that change, like, your relationship with your dad? Like, what does your dad say now? It's like he came down the stairs and said, hey, you're a commercial sales manager now. Like, what's the relationship now with your dad? Like, how do you guys interact now?
Yeah, it's still pretty similar to our conversation, figured out and don't lose money. But I can't take all the credit of growing the business. We've had some great people that have worked for us. And that's, to me, there's no way we could have grown our business without having those people who sacrificed, just like my grandfather did, so that their family they could earn a living for their family. I see a lot of my responsibility as a stewardship, probably bigger than anything else, and trying to do a good job. I always sit there and wonder some days what my grandfather would think. He passed away in early 2000s, and I always think, what is he thinking about? Did he ever imagine Standard to be where it is today? And if he were here, what would he do? And those things motivate me more than anything else. Motivate me way more than money. Relationships, the people that I know, the customers I get to work with, like you and all of your people, and that motivation of being a good steward drive me more than anything else. And we couldn't do any of it without having good people. And I've noticed something about your business. I'm able to take one of our top counter guys in the company over to your business. And I remember when you asked me for him, like, hey, can he come over here? I was like, oh, I don't know. He's one of the best. And you're like, trust in me, and he's happy. He's fulfilled. He loves working in your operation, and he's empowered to make all of the decisions to make your company better. And so while I like to take that credit, he makes my job really easy, right? You say you hire an accountant, it's kind of taken care of. We hire him, a lot of it's taken care of. And that allows you and I to have a better relationship so that we're not talking about business all the time. We can, we can talk about shooting or other things that are fun that we like to do in our free time. But it's the people behind our business that makes us who we are.
We talk about it so much, and I press on it so much about the trades and the ramifications. It's like you're not, out there actually plumbing houses. You're not actually out there, changing HVAC equipment, but you are so, incredibly important in our job, that, how has the trades not only, affected your life, but like affected everybody that you were. How many employees does Standard have now?
A little over 1,000.
A little over 1,000. So like, if we were to take a poll, right, on like, hey, how has the trades impacted your life? Like, I already know what it would be. It would be like so one-sided. It's crazy. It's like, the trades is such an industry where you can get into, and you can not only be, make the kind of money you want to make, but, be fulfilled with, helping customers, where you guys are helping us as your customer, right? But we take that and we're actually taking care of people's catastrophes every single day, So how for you, like when you wake up every morning and you think about like, hey, when you think about your day, like, are you thinking about like, oh, how many toilets am I going to be able to sell today? Or like, what are you thinking about? Like when Standard is getting as big as it is right now, like what's your guys' next step?
Yeah. When I wake up, everyone's only got 24 hours a day. And I always ask myself, what can I do now that will make the biggest impact on my day? They say that every task you do has a dollar amount attached to it, right? If you're checking email or doing something, that might be a $20 an hour job, right? But if you negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal, well, multi-million-dollars an hour, right? And if you can spend your time focusing on those things that generate the most value, then typically you can get the most return. But that doesn't always mean that you have to always focus on those things. Sometimes for me, it could just be simple calling one of our sales guys, checking in with him. Hey, how's it going? Talking about stuff, about nothing to do with work, right? But checking in with them, those things are important, and it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. I think you always have to be checking yourself every day. It's a big stewardship. 1,000 employees that all have families that depend on Standard Plumbing is a big deal. And to be a good steward means that you have to always trying to do the very best thing with your time. Mm-hmm. And, with Standard continuing to grow, I have 3 other brothers that are joined with me in the business, and working with them and trying to grow the business together so that we can continue the legacy that was founded by my grandfather is the most important thing for me.
So is that kind of like what you guys are planning on doing? Like once your dad figures out a time, I don't think he'll probably outlast all of you guys.
He loves it.
But like when your dad does get to the point where he's like, man, I'm probably just going to spend time with, your mom and go do whatever they're going to do. Are you guys all going to just take over and run it kind of like you guys are running it right now? Or how does that succession work? Like with how rapidly the business is growing?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, we have some really good people. And, I always tell people when I introduce myself that I'm the SOB, the son of the boss. And, I kind of make light of it. I've met a lot of owners' sons, and a lot of them are entitled. They think that the world owes them something. And I've always sought to be a little bit different than that. I didn't really get to pick the family I was born into. It was a blessing in my life. And so I want to be that good steward. And so the future ahead, does it involve family? Yes, it does. But it also involves those people who have grown Standard to where it's at today. Jesse in your warehouse, all the individuals that you've met that work in our company mm-hmm. have all been critical to our growth and will continue to be critical as we grow to the next generation and continue things in the future.
Do you guys foresee Standard Plumbing pushing to the East Coast?
Yeah.
Because you guys dominate over here on the West Coast. Like going back east, are you guys foreseeing anything in the future going East Coast at all?
As the opportunities arise, I would love the opportunity to grow. I think growing at the right time is very important. Our business is very capital intensive. We buy the inventory for you, and hopefully you buy it. And then after you buy it, 30 days to pay for it. And hopefully our customers pay for it. So we're a bank, we're a supplier, and then we get to deal with all the defectives and warranties that go with it. It's not a very pretty business like software that you can sign up, another 1,000 users and create a whole bunch more revenue. Mm-hmm. Every item you sell has a marginal cost attached to it, and 9 times out of 10, those customers want those items delivered to their shop. And I don't think I've ever charged you a delivery fee. If I did,
not that I know of,
you might kill me on a Saturday at 3:00 again. But it's a difficult business, and so trying to grow, you have to grow smart. You have to grow so that you don't extend beyond what you can do. There's a famous quote I love to hear. It's you don't know who's skinny dipping until the tide goes out. And we've always wanted to be a good steward over our funds, over our assets and what we have, and try to grow the right amount so that we don't have to make short-term decisions, to pay bills and do those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. So like with how everything is going, like the way the economy's going, everything like that, like when you guys see, the economy slowing down, do you guys ever really feel a lot of the pressure, in the trades, or are you guys pretty good on that sense? Like, do you guys slow down ever, or are you guys just constantly staying busy?
Being tied to single family new construction, commercial, and service, there's always going to be ups and downs. I mean, this business is cyclical. I know 2008 for us was difficult, as was everybody in the construction industry. And so, just trying to be good stewards, so when those times come that you're prepared is important. I wish we had a recession-proof business. It does help, when you're changing out toilets and sewers, it's like, hey, poop's coming through the floor. You're not going to wait till you have funds. You're going to try to figure and solve that out right away. And fortunately, there's always that aspect of plumbing. There's always the aspect of parts, right? People don't know which parts to put in. They have to call a professional. Mm-hmm. And that's where, from the beginning of working at Standard, I realized that our business was founded on people and the people that we sell to, our relationships. And if I can surround myself with enough plumbers, enough HVAC contractors, and customers, hopefully when those recessions come and they have a decision to go to me or to go somewhere else, they're hopefully spending with us. And that's been my goal. It's never perfect to always try to capture all the business is very difficult. But trying to keep good customers and stay loyal to them has been very important to our growth strategy and success plan.
Oh, it's incredibly interesting. And we have loved, our time, our partnerships. We've been together, some of our earliest jackets. Remember when you first started like the apparel stuff?
Yeah.
And you started doing all like the jackets, like you guys hooked us up with tons of stuff. I got more Standard swag than I do have my own swag, but like just seeing how much you guys have grown and how many lives you guys affect on a day-to-day basis, like for me, that's why I got into this industry, it's like, cause I wanted to be able to get into something where I could every day show up and change somebody's life. You know what I mean? Like I have customers to this day that still call me. I was just talking with Alex a little while ago, and he was telling me, he's like, man, I still have customers that call me and they still ask me like, hey, like, what would you do in this situation? And it's so crazy, like to see how things change and how you guys affect so many different lives, and like have been able to see the growth. Not only do you guys own Standard, but you own Sprinkler World, right? And you have what are the hardware that you guys are doing?
There's a few hardware stores that we've acquired, True Value and Ace Hardware, a couple locations.
So like, it's so crazy, like, do you guys ever plan on stopping, or you guys just in this crazy just whirlwind of acquiring new businesses and growing and growing and growing?
It's a hard question, right? We always want to continue to grow. I think if you're not growing, you're dying. Mm-hmm. And so we've always thought you have to improve. And being tied to customers like yourself and watching you grow has been very critical to our success and a key point in what we're doing. So we always want to continue to grow. I think, it's important to focus on that. And, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of companies right now that they don't have a succession plan. It's kind of mom and pop shop, one location, wholesale house or hardware store. We've acquired a lot of those locations over the years, and those have been great for our success in smaller towns as we continue to grow our business. But it's always difficult. There's always a challenge. I think people are always looking for something easy, mm-hmm. and the problem with that is you're always chasing because something's always going to be easier. But at the end of the day, hard work and dedication, as you've seen in your business, have proven to be successful.
Yeah, no. And that's honestly, the hardest thing, and exactly what you're saying is like, people expect it to be easy. It's like easy is not always worth it, It's like easy is if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's like, and everybody's not doing it, and everybody's not growing by hundreds of millions of dollars because it's not really that easy. As easy as you guys make it look, like I give Jacob, I give you a lot of crap all the time because it's like, you just go with the flow so easily. It's like, gosh, dang, it's like I wish sometimes I could go with the flow like that, and not be so wound up all the time, but the greatest thing that I've taken from our relationship is just understanding, the care for the customer. That's what's always felt like to me, and that's what I've always tried to portray to my customers is like how you portray not only like, hey, I'm going to be taken care of, but like the love I feel from Standard. When I walk into Standard, and it's not because I own the business and stuff, it's always felt like that. It's like when I walk into a location, it's like, hey, how can I help you? Like, what can I do for you? Like, how can we make sure that we can provide the best service so you can provide the best service for your customer? And that's what's, made my business blow up, made my business grow from 0 to what it is now, to over 100 trucks. So I really appreciate you coming on our podcast today. I asked everybody all this all the time, there's one thing that you were to tell your younger self now, what would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question. Tell my younger self.
Like you not having any experience in the business, right? Not having any experience with trades guys, dealing with people like me. Like if you could say right now, hey, just do this one thing, one key thing, or like, hey, get into this a little bit sooner. What would it be? Like, what would you have changed in your the way you've come up throughout the business?
I'm going to copy Sam Walton. And I think you can learn a lot from Walmart and what they've been able to do. But one line he says is that the customer is the boss. If I would have figured that out a little bit sooner, I think I could have saved a few more relationships. So many times in life we think that we know everything. And at the end of the day, we might, right? But casinos only have to be right 51% of the time. And if they're making money at it and doing it, what does that mean about us? How many times are we wrong where we think that we're right? And realizing that the customer is the boss, and ultimately you're going to spend your money where you want to go, and you're going to buy from people that you like. And so wanting to be a good steward over the customers that we have, and knowing how critical customers are to our business. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people and companies today with AI and all these really cool fancy gadgets, it all goes back to people. It's all people, and you're my boss. You could fire me right now just by going somewhere else. And when I buy my 5-year-old son a bike for Christmas, I didn't buy that bike. You did. And remembering that and knowing that every single day you have to show up for your customers. Rent is due every day. Success is never just given. It's earned, and you got to earn it every single day. And it comes from the customers like you. And I just so grateful to be here today. So grateful to see what you've been able to do. And I can't wait to be a fly on the wall for the next 10 years to see where you go. And, it's going to be awesome.
Well, honestly, it's been a crazy ride. And, kind of just going back to what you said, it's getting rid of, our pride, the entitlement, it's like, and just understanding is, they're real people. Like we deal with real people, and they have real problems. And how can we make their day the best we possibly can by our experience and our professionalism, is what makes a difference. So Jacob, I appreciate your time, bro. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Thanks, man.